From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicki Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Scripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode. My name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicki.
Miss Vicki, one of our favorites, is back.
I know.
It seems like an annual occurrence. Hopefully we can get him on a little more than that and come up with more fun things. But we've got a tradition. We usually have an off-season episode where we start talking about fitness and taking care of yourselves. And, the big joke we always make is it's a lot easier to drop 25 pounds than it is to lose 25 pounds with carbon fiber replacement parts.
I don't know that it's easier, but it is cheaper. How about that?
Way cheaper, yeah.
Right.
Yes, for sure. So we were watching some stuff coming through on the Book of Faces, and we saw that Mark was in a serious endeavor to increase his fitness and get back to where he wanted to be, and frustrated with where he was. And he seems to have some successes. So we said, hey, we like Mark. He's done this. It's a sample size of one. Why don't we kill two birds with one stone? And back to the podcast, Mark Petronis. How you doing?
Glad to be here, folks. Thanks for having me back.
Longest intro ever. Anyway, so it's just how we roll sometimes. Too much sugar makes for long intros.
Uh-huh.
So, Mark, you had, just to bring everybody back to speed, you had a rather serious accident a couple of years back. A lot of recovery, a lot of surgeries. How are you doing as far as that goes?
As far as that goes, I'm basically, I don't want to say 100% because I got some partial finger amputations, but I'm 98.5%. My last surgery was May of 24. Is that correct? Yeah, it is. And then I was discharged from therapy. I'm sorry, it was March of 24. I was discharged from therapy on June of 24. My birthday, June 6th. We were basically the things that we were measuring in therapy, like what was my grip strength. My left hand, which was the far less burn one, that was always pretty strong. But for years, we were trying to get my right hand to be somewhere in the vicinity of my left hand. And after this last surgery, where they kind of broke my pinky so I could make an actual fist again, that just started piling on the strength. And so, my grip strength on my left was always like 110. On the right was like 30. Then I got to 50. Then it was 70. And then finally on my birthday, it was like 100 pounds. And my therapist is like, you're done. You've got all the mobility you need. You've got all the strength you're going to need in your right hand. So go with God and go live your life. So that was June of 24. So I've been out a little bit more of a year now without therapy, without surgery, just sort of living my life. And it's been pretty awesome, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you, your wife, and the family are ecstatic with the progress. It looks like everything's, there's still some stuff, but it looks like you're.
Frankly, Bill, there really isn't any stuff. Other than I don't notice the scars. My family doesn't care or notice. I'm just living life now. So it's just it feels like it's almost like I look at it through like almost a television. Like this is a thing that happened to me almost 5 years ago now, but it doesn't really feel like a critical. Nothing that has impeded my life in any way at this point. Obviously, it was a miserable 2 or 3 years, but at this point, it's just kind of a memory,
Well, considering the severity of that accident and, the flames that were involved and the impacts that were involved, it looked terrible. I'm sure
it was terrible. Let's not.
Oh, it was
terrible.
It looked terrible. It looked like you were really having some struggles there, but it looks like, it took a lot of work and a lot of superior talent from your team to put you back to the position you're in. But I know everybody that we know is always very happy to see that you've recovered as much as you have, and if you're happy, then nobody else can be happier for you. So
that's right.
That's fantastic.
I feel only blessed and lucky to have been through what I've been through and to be out in this position that I'm in right now. I don't look back on it with any real sadness or regret even necessarily, but I'm just blessed and happy to be here.
Yeah, you could have taken one of those, hall passes and not had to go through it. But considering that that's not an option, you're looking pretty good for
making the most of it.
Exactly. So since you're damn near a miracle,
Hmm.
you decided, hey, I'm not happy with everything about me. You know,
Hmm.
I've got these parts that are working back to normal, and then last year it looked like you made a concerted effort to say, let's do a little better with what this body has, and let's try and raise my level of performance and fitness and feeling better about myself. And how did that, I guess, how did that start for you? And then
Hmm.
get into how your progress went and how
We
what you've
achieved
done to
it.
get
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
I don't know if there was necessarily like I've always, I mean, ever since high school, I've necessarily, like anybody else, we were all in great shape in high school, and life happens and we get in the way and we pack on a couple pounds and we ebb and we flow throughout the years. Obviously, my accident put me on the back foot for quite some time. But before the accident, I wasn't where I wanted to be either.
Right.
So after finally recovering, finally being done with surgeries, I mean, I probably could have started this fitness transformation a little bit earlier than I did, but frankly, I was so happy to be done with surgeries and done with therapy. I was like, I'm not going to do anything that I don't feel like doing right now for quite some time. So not that I completely went off the rails, but fast forward to so that was June of 24. March of 25. I'm like, okay, it's really time. And I was on vacation with a bunch of my friends in the Galapagos, on a giant boat in the Galapagos at a
No
catamaran.
way.
Yeah, with all my high
That
school friends, one of whom is a scientist who
Did
actually
you
worked.
did you
that's
get
the
the band
coolest.
back together? Did you
Did you forget I was in a band? No, we did not get the band back. Well,
Oh my
Ah,
actually,
God, that would be a great band name.
so one
I'm
of my
sorry.
friends played in the band with me, but this was separate from that. But in any case, we're sitting around. She's saying, "Hey, I just started on GLP-1, and it's having a great effect." And my friend, the scientist, who's working on some crazy stuff that's going to work on like a GLP-1 type of thing, but only on a muscle side. All kind of just a bunch of conversations. You're like, you know what? I'm over 200 pounds. I've been this way for a long time. I'm sorry. I can sort of get my diet in check, and I had a lot of knowledge about calories and macros, and I've done all of those things at like various points in my life, but never have I put them all together. We can talk about that later.
hmm
But basically, this trip in February is like, all right, I'm going to talk to this nurse practitioner at Mochi. I'm going to see if she'll prescribe me some trizepatide, and that's really where it started. Really, started to take that GLP-1, which helped my appetite, which started to just kind of lose weight, and frankly, it was easier than it's ever been. It turns out when you're not eating all of the time, you just lose weight. I mean, it really is kind of that simple. So once I kind of got that under control, saw the weight start to come off slowly, reached a goal weight of my like 185 pounds, I got there and said, well, I mean, this is good, but this is not the best I can do. And
Right.
that point, so from March to July is really when I was taking full advantage of the GLP-1, but then said, okay, now it's time to get in the gym. Now it's time to work on nutrition and really just try and put all of it together to get the best result that I possibly can.
So, um, I think, for those, if we don't get to the details, you had, multi-part posts that were,
Mm-hmm.
quite long on Facebook, but let's
Mm-hmm.
try and get into it a little bit.
Sure.
You used a combination of things. It wasn't, one magic bullet. It wasn't, a 5-day process. It was
No.
a lot of things that compiled, and I think you had, let's call it, various different slopes
Mm-hmm.
for your adaptation, your improvement, and your general health, is not just counting weight, but
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like it took, it wasn't that hard to do. It was hard to be consistent to do it, because
Fair.
it's not like a week. I do
No,
this
it
hard
certainly
for a
was.
week and I'm good.
Certainly wasn't a week. No, like I said, it was like 9 months from and it took me a while to get confident enough to say, because I've taken inspiration from my friends who do post their fitness stuff. Like, wow, that's awesome. You were doing an awesome job, and I find that inspiring. So I'm never the guy who says I'm going to take my shirt off and show people how shredded I am. Like, no, that's not why I did any of this. I did this because I've taken a lot of inspiration from seeing that type of stuff and watching these transformations from people I actually know, and said, wow, how did you do that? I want to be inspired by that. And I'd hope that I could do the same thing by kind of sharing my story. But to your point, Bill, no, it certainly wasn't fast. It certainly, I'm not going to say, I mean, once I got the process down, and there was multi-parts to the process, once I got those things sort of locked in, I was sort of surprised at how fast the weight did come off, how fast I was able to gain strength, how fast I was able to feel better about looking at myself in the mirror and my health in general. So fast, no. easy, not exactly, but keeping the consistency and the discipline and putting it all together. Once that all happened, then it wasn't necessarily difficult to maintain and move forward.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say easy, but
Sure.
it's tough to use words sometimes because brain connection to
Brain,
mouth,
words,
not
all
the
that
words
stuff.
are hard, numbers are hard, the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, it I guess the thing is, I meant it in relationship to the people who are on the other side of starting,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even degrading, and then not. It's almost viewed as impossible,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to no. It's pretty simple. It's do these couple things.
Mm-hmm.
Thermodynamics works,
100%.
and one of our friends has a great thing. You can't outwork the fork.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big
True.
deal.
100%.
And you solved a few of them, and we were going to try to get into exactly what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and how we did, beginning to end. So I
Sure.
guess the first thing you did was the medical exam, if I remember.
Say it again. First thing I did was a
First
medical.
thing, medical exam and assertion of where you were and whether
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were.
I mean, if you want to call it that, really, it wasn't about I didn't go to my doctor. I signed up with this health service Mochi, who gives us signs, and I'm a nurse practitioner, and says who are you, what are your goals, where are you at right now, and how do we help you get there? So that from there, and for a while I was like, I'm not gonna tell anybody I'm on Ozempic or whatever it was I was on. I wasn't Ozempic, but all of these things have such a negative connotation about them now, and I don't know why. Um, People are trying to take control of their lives and improve themselves in some way. And so why does it matter if we do that by giving ourselves an injection that helps us stop eating to get that ball rolling? So I don't know. There's definitely a lot of preconceived notions about it. And I was happy to talk about it and say, look, I did this too. And I had a great result. So hopefully remove some of the stigma about a lot of that stuff and help people get more healthy by getting on these things. But it was just a quick meeting, virtual meeting with a nurse practitioner. Says, here's what you are, here's where you want to be, here's what I'm going to prescribe. Start taking this stuff and let it do its thing, right?
Right.
And so from March through July, that's really all it did. I mean, I was mountain biking a lot, but it became, it's just funny. Like the GLP-1 just makes you not think about food so much. It makes you not go back for that second plate of pasta and meatballs, which I love more than anything. Sweets are my big thing. I love cookies and ice cream and cakes. And not that I didn't enjoy eating food, but I didn't need to have double it. I didn't need to double my portions, And so suddenly
Yeah.
I wasn't tracking any of my calories during this time, but I just slowly started to lose the weight, which is what it does, and it works great.
So, can we discuss what is GLP-1?
I am not a medical practitioner, Vicki, so I'm not going to pretend that I am. All I can tell you is that how it worked for me, what my experience was.
No,
But
I mean, just like, what is it? Is it a medication? Is it a supplement? Is it a program? I've never heard of it before.
Well, how about Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, all that
Okay.
stuff, all inhibitors, right? That essentially put a signal to your brain. They do a lot of things, but kind of remove this food noise in your head. But it's an injection.
Okay.
You take once a week, or some people do it micro dosing and several times a week. But I just did a once a week injection. Slows down gastric emptying, so you're a little fuller, a little bit longer. So you're not saying, boy, I wish I could eat more food right now, because you kind of can't. So it slows you down a little bit gastrically. Mentally, it kind of, again, quiets some of that food noise, but directly, it's an injection you take generally once a week.
Well, I got to tell you, food noise is a real thing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not on it right now, but that's because I'm trying to actually gain some weight. So I'm eating like 3,300 calories. But it's funny, like I have been off it, not been on it for a month now, and I definitely think about food a lot more than I was for the last months. So it's a thing for sure.
Okay.
There's a reason Kellogg's uses Snap, Crackle, and Pop to advertise some of their, food noise.
Exactly.
That wasn't what you meant?
No, that's not what we meant.
Well, whatever. All right, that's fine. So that started, was that the initiation of the ball rolling for you towards this goal that you were working on?
100%. Yeah, that was like, hey, because I've done crash diets where I've lost the same amount of weight in a short amount of time, but it's like you're just white knuckling the thing. Like, oh my God, I'm force myself not to eat or whatever it is you're doing. Like diets can be hard and they're life sucking, right? And
hard to be sustainable.
Exactly. It's hard to be sustainable, and sustainability is consistency. And a part of all of this, you have to be consistent. So yeah, you can do it for a couple of weeks, you can do it for a couple of months, but once you start hating life and you start eating again like you used to, it all comes back.
Yeah.
So yes, it made that the initial 15 pounds just come off relatively easily. Didn't change much of my life. Just ate a lot less and drank a little bit less, and it just that first 15 pounds, which used to be really difficult, was not that difficult at all. If that makes sense.
Okay. So at the let's call it the 15-pound mark, but
Mm-hmm.
approximate, you were somewhat satisfied with your results at that point, and you wanted
Yeah,
to take
I
it a
mean,
step further.
exactly. I mean, I looked at, I'm kind of tracking my progress in the mirror and obviously on the scale, and used to be okay. Before the accident, I wanted to be 185. After the accident, like, will I ever be 185 again? Will I ever be able to
Mm-hmm.
move my body enough to the point that I could, sustain a healthy weight like that? So I got to 185 and looked in the mirror and said, this isn't really where I wanted to be. Like, I know I can do better than this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I think because like being on the GLP-1 made that I wasn't like I said, I wasn't white knuckling it down to 185. So, I was like, well, what more can I do? Like, usually I would give up by now. This is too miserable to sustain, but it wasn't at all miserable to sustain. And so I used to lift weights when I was in high school and college, and I've been bigger than I am now, but was by no means never as lean as I am now. So I enjoy lifting weights, and coincidentally, my son was in like an elite soccer program in Albany, where it was like 66 miles round trip. So I can't like drop him off and go home. What am I going to do for an hour and 45 minutes? I'm going to sit in my car and look at Facebook like most of the parents, or I go 5 miles up the road to Planet Fitness and start lifting weights again. So really him getting into that soccer program, me having 4 days a week for an hour and a half, I had nothing to do. I might as well go to the gym. And that was the next big step that, pointed me in the direction that I got to today.
Okay. So once you started the weight program, and I remember it was 4 days. I couldn't remember exactly how long, but that makes sense why it was 4 days now. Did that change any of the efficacy of the tirzepatide, or
Sort of. Well,
was
I
it
mean, yes. I
additional?
mean, I guess you could say it was additional. Like I think you were talking about this graph that I posted earlier, kind of showing like my weight loss
Well, I meant
trajectory.
from a hunger thing, because I know sometimes when I think I'm at the age where I've done the diet thing a few times, and
Mm-hmm.
you start the diet thing and you're doing okay, and the food is kind of like all consuming. Oh my God, I really wish I could have something.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you hit the
Mm-hmm.
gym just kind of rules it out from, oh, I really want this, to, oh, I must have this now. And then you go and you sit there and say, well, I want my Jethro Bodine bowl of cereal. And how big a mixing bowl do we have, Vic? About a 6-quarter. Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a single serving size
The
for
day
cereal.
when those were the days when you were playing volleyball and were able to burn calories like super fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So did it still help with I guess the increased appetite that with weightlifting and working out usually brings?
Yeah, yeah. Well, to be honest with you, like it really became extremely transparent at that point because while I started lifting weights, um, at the same time, I started asking ChatGPT all of these questions like, what should I be lifting? And again, I had a lot of this knowledge sporadically thrown out throughout 20 years of being an adult, but never really put it all together. So then around the same time, ChatGPT became my sounding board, my quasi coach, my accountability person, like taking weekly photos, like here's where I'm at, here's my graphs, and what should I change, what should I do? So I guess to directly answer your question, like to have that sort of going on at the same time I was lifting weights, realizing here I am in the gym, but I'm running out of gas. I'm running out of steam. What am I, why am I crashing in the middle of a workout? Ask ChatGPT, like, well, what did you eat yesterday? Show me your calorie intake. Oh, you were really low on carbs, whatever. So this is all kind of snowballed into the whole fitness thing that I'm at now. But so while I was actually exercising like that, I had to force myself to eat. So it really wasn't a matter, if anything, the GLP-1 wasn't necessarily helping me at that point. I had to up my calories quite a bit, but I was still eating at that point, I was eating in a systematic fashion. I was really eating for fuel. I think, the GLP-1 kept I just want to gorge myself on food after going
Yeah.
to the gym. Like that really was never there. So when I was eating during that time, it was about, I have to get more calories. I got to force myself to eat to get the nutrition I need to do the lifts and exercises that I want to do,
Right.
for the
Right.
energy.
Yeah. Because you can lift all you want if you don't have any protein. you're not going to build any muscle. If
You're
you
not going to sustain, you're not going to build, you're not going to maintain, right? And if
if
you don't have the carbs, you're not going to have the energy to do the lift in the first place. And I've
yeah,
crashed many times, and so it took me a
yeah.
while to figure some of that stuff out, but that was kind of a game changer as well.
And knowing you as with most of our race car friends, overdoing is a constant battle because if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing, and that's just how we
My wife
roll.
gets mad at me. She thinks I get everything I get into, I sort of get all the way into. So I didn't just like tip my foot in for fitness. Like, no, I'm all the way. I'm, diet, nutrition, exercise, sleep, I got obsessed about everything, really.
Major focus.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Miss Vicki is being very charitable and not making shots about me on that particular. Most endeavors I do, it's kind of all
Cyclical.
It's all or all, and
Mm-hmm.
by all I mean all of it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you started taking the gym seriously, and then you started taking the nutrition aspect of the gym seriously, but not just for weight loss, but for body mass improvement and
100%.
lifting efficiency and effectiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And what did that do for you in terms of results?
Well, so again, I hit that 185 number, and then it said, okay, I look soft. Now I got to put on some muscle. So at that point, actually, I'm sorry, it was actually 180. It wasn't 185. I got down to 180. That was my goal weight. So wait a minute, this is what I want to look like. So I started lifting like crazy, crept back up to 185, right? And then at that point, once I got to 185, put on some muscle mass, started eating properly, started lifting a lot. Then the weight just kind of piled off. I was losing like 10 pounds a month there from like September to November or so. But it was funny, like when I had the 180 the first time on the way down, went up, and then when I hit 180 on the way back, I looked like a totally different person because suddenly I put on a lot of this muscle mass. And again, they say that muscle has memory, and I 100% agree with that. Like I didn't I mean, like I said, I've been more muscly than I am now in my younger days. So I could not believe, frankly, how fast I gained size and strength and muscle back because I'd been there before. So
Right.
there is an advantage to having some older baseline level of fitness when you can get back to it pretty fast.
Right. Right.
So yes, I'm sorry, I lost track of the question, Bill.
Oh, it was just what did the incorporation of the weight training and the increased fitness towards developing your body towards what you wanted it to be, how did that affect your results?
So then everything just became compounded at that point. As you gain more muscle, you're starting to burn more calories. I added, I had at the time, this was the summer, so my son was playing pretty late into all their practices went late.
Sure.
So I had time to throw 20 minutes of treadmill at the end of a workout to get in some more fat burn. But then it got later into the fall, so they weren't playing. It got dark. So then I would wake up at 5:45 in the morning and I'd do 30 minutes of the Peloton in the morning. That became my fat burning cardio in the morning.
Oh,
And then an hour at the gym or whatever, for those 4 days a week. So things just kind of started to, as I got the cardio at the right time, the nutrition at that point, like September, that's when I really started like weighing all of my food and putting everything I eat in an app to track, really what my calorie intake was. Really starting to understand how, again, what you talked about, thermodynamics, how real that is, how important that is. Understanding that you need to be in a caloric deficit in order to actually lose weight. I mean, you can take pills, you can take supplements, you can try and explain it away as much as you like, but if you burn more than you eat, you are going to lose weight. And so trying to do that while also putting on muscle, as I was, and I was at the time. Really just, like I said, it's kind of snowballed the whole thing. So that's when the weight really started to come off. And every week I'd look in the mirror and find like I was getting motivated. Like, wow, that is a change that I can see week to week. And that became really, really exciting, frankly.
Yeah.
Because now I can finally see I'm heading towards a direction. I'm not covered in so many extra pounds that I can't see any, daily, even weekly changes. And that was even further motivation to get all the way down to where, and I just kept on going. Like when I got to 180, it's like, all right, let's see what 175 looks like. And I said, nope, we can do better. And so really, when I got down to like 165 pounds, it's like, okay, I'm 43 years old. I look pretty decent in the mirror here. This is probably about this is about as low as I'm going to go before I get into like single digit body fat, which is difficult to do and probably not necessarily that healthy at my age. So
way
so
hard
like
to maintain
whole
too.
trajectory. Yeah.
so when you did this, you did speak to a nutritionist, as you said, and did we discuss that you joined a program, or did you research all your workout on your own? Did you go through? And I remember like way back in the day, there was what P20 something, Bill.
Oh,
What was that?
P20X, P90X, all that
Oh
stuff.
my
P90X. Yeah.
gosh,
Yeah.
P9. That was it was brutal.
No, it
But
was.
I mean, did you like join a program
No,
or
it was
have coaching?
all no. As I said, it's funny. I mean, I'm calling ChatGPT my coach. I call him Giga
Oh,
Chad. As a matter of fact, so like any question I had, and not that I was like I have friends who are personal trainers. I totally would have hired a personal trainer. As a matter of fact, in August, I was trying to get this girl who's a bodybuilder race car driver, because I'm kind of fascinated by bodybuilders and like how much control they have over their body and
Mm-hmm.
how they know exactly what it is they need to do, exactly when they need to do it to be able to step onto a stage or whatever it is they're training for. Like, I think that's fascinating, and to have that kind of command of your body. So anyway, this girl is an Army vet, also a race car driver, also a like bikini competitor. And I actually approached, she was looking for people to take on as clients for coaching. It's like, hey, I'm super interested in what you may have to be able to help me to improve my fitness. We couldn't quite get together on making that happen. So to answer your question, Vicki, all of my coaching was through ChatGPT. And
that's brilliant, though, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm. I would ask questions at all hours of the night. I'd wake up and have a thought. Like I can't text a personal trainer at 2 a.m. saying, hey, I'm having this weird thought right now. So people think that AI is the end of the world, and maybe it will be. But for right now, it can definitely help improve your fitness. If you've got questions, it's probably got answers. And it's all science-based. I mean, there's a lot of opinions out there, but in the end, most anything I did is science-backed. So ChatGPT is just regurgitating science in a way that feels like a conversation that's also motivating and helps keep you accountable. At least keeps me accountable,
Yeah, I definitely think texting a bikini fitness model at 2 a.m. would probably not have gone over as well
it wasn't going to fly.
as
Right.
ChatGPT.
Right.
Honey, it was ChatGPT. It wasn't Tori Wilson or whoever. So yeah, that's probably a good plan. I like that plan. I can't afford to get a divorce and couldn't find anybody else half as good as Miss Vicki to ever say yes. So we're gonna stay here.
There you go.
So ChatGPT, beware, it's coming. Okay, so if you think about it, if you go to like the supermarket and you look at a roast and it weighs like 6 pounds, you kind of smeared out around your body, and all that can be gone, and it's a appreciable amount of mass and volume, but you were at the same time you were losing weight, you were also gaining muscle. So your slope or your absolute loss in weight isn't really what you saw, because you were seeing the loss in fat but the gain in muscle. So it was kind of making it a little shallower than I think effectively it was. So your results were probably even better than the graph would purport them to be.
Right. I think the guy, we call that body recomposition, essentially. Like, it wasn't just about losing the weight. It was also about adding, muscle mass at the same time. And again, it's really hard to, if you've been doing this a while, which, again, I've been fitter in years, and I've been bigger. I've been more muscular. Right. So I had a baseline that I could work back to, but it is really hard to be in a caloric deficit, be losing weight, and also physically adding muscle tissue. I was getting away with it because I had it in the past and it came back a lot sooner. But as I've kind of reached the peak of where I was going to be, this is a few weeks ago, the end of January. That's why I'm now starting this, what we call a lean bulk, where I'm now I actually am eating in a surplus, realizing that I have to have more energy in me if I want things to grow, which is also going to come with its own little fat gain, which I can hopefully burn off here in the spring. Yes, recompositioning the body by gaining muscle and losing weight at the same time is quite difficult. And you can't, that's not a trajectory that lasts forever. You're going to find a limit here of that sooner rather than later.
So are you cycling now, or are you staying at a steady state, or are you going through periodization of your diet and workouts, or how are you doing?
So right now, as of January 1st, like, again, this is more of an experiment than anything else, because this is all new territory to me. Like, I've never gotten to a weight and said, I'm going to gain some weight. I want to put on some more muscle. I am too light. How can I gain some weight? So as of January 1st, again, working with ChatGPT, let's figure out the nutrition levels, what we call the macros, the fats, the carbs, the proteins. What are we going to bump that up to be in a slight caloric surplus to turn all these lifts I'm doing now into actual muscle growth with, you hope for 2 to 1. So 1 pound for muscle for 1 pound of fat would be pretty incredible, 1 to 1 rather, and then burn that fat off. But, and that's another thing that I did for a data point. I actually did this thing called an RMR test, a resting metabolic rate test, and you breathe into this tube. It measures all the oxygen that you're breathing into this thing for 10 minutes and actually tells you with alarming accuracy what your actual daily calorie burn is. So, and that was a big part of it for me too, like this whole process. And we can tie it back to race car driving, coaching, whatever you want. Like I needed the data. Like the data was hugely helpful for me to not be taking guesses at how much should I be eating? How much do I burn? Like, no, I know how much I burn in a day. And from that, I can make all kinds of different plans that without, I would just be kind of flying blind,
Yeah. The only bad thing about what you were doing is it makes the aim systems and the other systems that we use in racing seem very cheap. So
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, as a driver of race cars and now someone who's spending a little bit of money on fitness, believe me, it's a much better rate of return for the fitness stuff than it is on the race car driving.
Oh,
stuff.
no, I meant the equipment themselves. I meant,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Buying a dash.
I'm sorry. I got to be honest. I really never thought about using ChatGPT to do fitness. I mean, that's kind of brilliant if you think about it.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much you use it, Vicki. I mean, I use it a lot more and more. Like frankly, if I'm going to do a Google search, I just as soon ask ChatGPT at this point because it gives me a lot more information than I need. So I've been using it. Some people it's their life. It's not at all my life, but I do use it on a regular basis. So it became natural for me to just ask a fitness question. And when I realized the complexity, I have my conversations with ChatGPT are hundreds and hundreds of pages long about fitness. And it's just conversations really. So I could have that conversation with a human, which I would have been happy to do, but the ChatGPT was much better access for sure.
So when you're having these conversations with ChatGPT, are you picturing Scarlett? Their name?
Johansson?
No.
No.
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson, like in the movie, or you
I have no voice to my ChatGPT is a guy. His name is actually Chad.
Chad?
GPT.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
he's a big burly guy, but
that's a good thing. Chad works out. Chad's got some weights behind him. So looking at it from the beginning, there's going to be a bunch of our listeners who are going to sit there and say, "No, this is impossible. This is really hard. He's making it seem like something." Because honestly, most of the people who tend to talk about things like this are trying to sell something. I think one of the reasons that we wanted to have you on was you're not trying to sell this. You're not trying to be their fitness trainer. You're not trying to sell this supplement. You're not trying to, basically you're not making anything from this. You're actually probably losing money on this because you're spending a few hours making Facebook posts to share. So I just that was one of the key reasons I wanted to have you on. And I think this is a great example of what can be done with just some focus and some consistency.
And I'm glad you mentioned all that because that's the only reason I made when I got in this accident, people came to me to talk about fire safety and they came to talk to me about injury recovery. And, until that accident, I didn't really have a great appreciation for how much that I do enjoy being able to share an experience that I've had and understanding that has helped somebody in some way. I used to be a musician and it was the coolest thing in the world, when I was in a band to play a show and have somebody come up to you and say, "Hey man, that song you wrote about that thing, whatever that thing was, that really helped me through some hard times." Like, wow, I did something that affected you in a positive way. So maybe that's just the way I act or the way I react to these things, but that makes me feel really good. So doing that after speaking on burn safety or car safety, whatever it was, and realizing that the things that I say can have an impact on people does inspire me to be able to share this type of stuff. And again, it's really about, and it's and since I've made those posts, I've had lots of people message me and say, "Man, that was inspiring. This is my year. I'm going to do something about it. And thank you for doing that." And I had if I get 5 or 6 of those messages, then frankly, it makes everything sort of worth it because that is why I'm doing it, to really try and help some people attain a goal that I never thought that I could frankly attain. Certainly after my accident, but frankly, I've tried for 20 years since college to try and get this kind of shape and never really put it together. So The point is, yes, you can do it. There's a systematic way to do it. I shared exactly word for word the way that I did it, and it works for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Take some information from it if you can, but it is certainly possible,
Yeah, exactly. And you're a data point of one. So, past performance for Mark may not indicate future performance for whomever we're talking about,
There
but
should be a disclaimer there.
we're not what are we, Goldman Sachs or something? No, we're not. Definitely
Right.
not. We don't have that many zeros.
100%.
But if you were to, have the time machine and you were to go back and talk to Mark when you were getting started, what would you say you would have done differently?
Well, I probably, that's, when I posted them, it said that this is my 9 months transformation. But when I went back and I started, it was really helpful for me to look at the data, look at the graphs, and realize where the extreme peaks and valleys were. I mean, I could have done this a lot faster. I mean, I didn't necessarily care to, but if when I had started, I'd said, okay, yes, you're taking the GLP-1. Here goes the weight. I probably would have said, go back to the gym sooner than, there's no reason to wait, essentially. If I had started lifting with the weights immediately in March, for example, it was March through December, as far as I'm concerned, where I was ready to say, okay, look what I did. I could have made that March through September. I could have been 5 months instead of 9 months. You know what I mean? But frankly, no, I don't complain about much. I'm really, really, really ecstatic with the change that I've made. The time it took is the time it took. And I think, it's lost almost 40 pounds in those 9 months, and it was a total transformation. So sometimes you shouldn't expect it to go any faster than that. That's for damn sure.
No, it's you're balancing fat loss with muscle loss too. If you go too fast, you can lose what you don't want to lose.
And you will, by the way. That's the thing. Like that was part of like my buddy, the scientist, is like, okay, he was kind of checking in on me, like, how is your weight loss going? I was like, it's going great. I mean, I look in the mirror, I feel pretty good. I was like, well, you're losing a lot of muscle. He had some percentage that you will lose this amount of muscle mass if you don't do something about it. Whether it's protein to preserve it and gain it, and weight training to put it back on. It's like, you probably need to get back into the gym, because you're gonna look like an Ozempic guy. Your face is gonna go. You're gonna get skinny fat, essentially, which I also didn't want to do.
No.
So he was part of the reason I said, okay, you're right. It's time for me to start putting muscle back on as well.
Right. So, talking to a few of our listeners about this episode coming in, one of the concerns they had was, they're not 25. Just
like
I. Yeah, just like you're not, and I'm almost 3 versions of 25. Well, not quite 3, but I'm well over 2. Is your skin's, jokingly referred to as a bodysuit. If you lose a good chunk of your body, is your suit going to look like a baggy suit that should be tailored? And I think you're an example of no, not necessarily. I mean, we're not talking you didn't lose a person, but you lost a fraction.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's funny you say that. It's something I haven't talked about yet. Like, I have some loose skin in my lower abs, which frankly pisses me off. Like, I'm pretty shredded. Like, God damn it, why can't I have tight abs all the way down? It's like when I'm bending over, I got some floppy loose skin, because I have been. And it's funny because there's when I was in the hospital, like, they pumped me, your body retains so much water. Yeah. I was actually, so my heaviest I've ever been, like walking around with like 215 pounds, right? In December I was 165. So from there I've lost 50 pounds, and that's enough, you're going to have some loose skin, things you might want to type of. It's not losing 150 pounds. You see those guys, and they've got, like you said, flesh suits hanging off of them, and that's going to require surgery. I don't need any surgery to take care of what I'm trying to take care of. I just need a little bit of time, maybe a little bit of topicals, and I'm working on that. But when I was in the hospital, initially, like, your body retains so much water when it's trying to heal itself with whatever it is that all the fluids are pumping into you. I was 240 pounds. So there's a picture of me in the hospital bed. I am a balloon, so I don't know. And I wasn't like that for like a long, long time.
Yeah, but you still were.
Imagine that it expanded my stomach in some way that I never even really saw. And there's only some pictures of it. So yeah, I didn't make one of those 200-pound transformations that you see. And yeah, those guys have a lot of loose skin to deal with, but how old am I? I'm 43. I lost 50 pounds recently. And yes, I had some things I'd like to tighten up, in my lower abdomen region. So yes, that does happen.
but they may go away. I mean, you don't know it. And you know, one of the things you could do is get in that time machine I offered you before and go back and say, listen, you guys need skin grafts. I've got some stuff right here you can have.
I
I'm
got
not
some
going to want
spares.
it later. Just
Right.
take it.
Right.
Make it go away. Got all this you can take. It's like
That's
a
right.
whole belt, like a tube,
For
inner
sure.
tube. But yeah, so I guess the obviously congratulations and job well done, and I do
Thanks.
hope that you've reported that a few people have contacted you, and hopefully people will see that A, this is possible, B, this is something that they can do, and we make the joke about saving 25 pounds in the race car through carbon's very expensive,
Hmm.
and this will work a whole lot better for you, and it'll make your day-to-day life improve as well. So
It's been, like I said, I mean, I was trying to be active. I would sometimes run at 200 pounds. I was riding my bike a lot, but the other morning I was freezing cold and I had to jog out. I was at my shop. I had to jog out to get the mail. I didn't want to waste any time, so I'm running I don't like running at all, but I was forced myself to run in those weight loss periods to try and lose some weight. But I kind of jogged out to my mailbox, like, holy smokes, it feels totally different to run at 165 pounds
yeah,
than it does at 200 pounds. I'm carrying
yep,
35 pounds less on my body, so it's amazing. I've never felt better. I've never slept better. So it's not just about looking in the mirror. It is really about feeling a hell of a lot better than I've felt in 15 years for sure, So
yeah.
it's none of it should not be about necessarily aesthetics. It's a nice effect, but feeling great and sleeping better and just living a fuller, richer life at this current level of fitness has been transformative, in a lot of ways.
Even besides like internal organs and things like that, wear and tear in your joints.
Hmm.
I've played sports. I'm sure you've played them as well. My knees
Hmm.
have said no mas.
More done.
but
Hmm.
but if there was half of me, my knees would be sitting and saying, maybe a little mas, maybe
Yeah, that's right. You got some more headroom there.
maybe I'm
Yeah.
not saying my Spanish is somewhat losing it here, but I don't know, little mas. I don't know.
Pequeño más.
Pequeño mas. There we go. I don't know, tiny bit. Maybe I could ski again. That'd be fun.
Right.
But I think again, you are a data point of one. And there's I'm not saying you're the only one who's ever done this. I'm just saying that
Sure.
we're talking to you are just one person. There's hundreds or thousands, or I don't know if it's millions, but people who've done this as well. But you're you combine the focus of the podcast, which is racing, with our off-season program. What do you do to get better? Well, make a little less of you. And
Hmm.
this was something that I wanted to take advantage of. And you're always very why do you want to talk to me about this? Well, that's why.
Hmm.
Because your
Right.
stories can be, inspiring and maybe enabling for somebody else to start their journey or see that the journey is possible. Because a lot of people just give up and like, this is me. I'm going to be this tomorrow. I'll be this 10 years from now. I'll be this 30 years from now. And I'll be this when I die. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
No, doesn't have to be the case. And again, I do appreciate you asking me, and I really do like to help people achieve some of those little goals. If I got a little knowledge of something that I've gone through or been through can help you in some way, by all means, reach out to me on wherever it is you want to find me, Facebook, Instagram, wherever it is. And I've had a lot of people do it, and I'm excited about it every time, and happy to share my experience and my story. And if I can help in some way, happy to do that.
Yeah, 100%. So speaking of knowledge that you have, Miss Vicky's
Yeah,
got this small version of a Corvette right behind her
I
that she
see that
can't
thing. See that
can't
little baby.
can't figure out how to get
I'll
not to be
get it turned.
reversed. But
I, I'll get it turned around.
yeah,
See?
her number is not E5, it's 23. But
Yeah.
it's one the wonders of Zoom will reverse everything, and then you got to figure out how to unreverse the reverse, and then sometimes it changes its mind. So,
Hmm.
Hmm.
but since she's got a small Miata, I thought we'd talk a little bit about the larger Miatas that you service with your business. I
Hmm.
believe they're it's not Miata. What's it? A Corvette. That's what it is. It's a
That's
Corvette.
right. It's not Miata's not always the answer, because sometimes Corvette's the answer. Thank you very much. So
This is true. You know what? I last time I went to go work on getting my comp license, they were referred to on the field as bees.
yeah, they sound like a bunch of angry bees. That's true. Those Miatas are freaking noisy.
Yeah, well, Corvette sounds a little more ornery than wasps, so we're gonna
Yeah,
have to
it's
lose the
beefy.
analogy. So
Hmm.
what's new in the world of Corvettes? I mean, obviously C8s getting pretty mature and coming out with some beastly products out there. But
Yeah.
what's going on with Corvettes and racing in Corvettes that
Well, for us, I mean, for us, it's, I have a C8 now, which I think we probably talked about last time. We've done
Yep.
a ton of aerodynamic development on our car and suspension development, and I've been really surprised how fast C8 has caught on. Like when the C7 came out, I felt like
Mhm.
which was when was that, 2014 or so. It took a little while for like people to start coming to us to ask for solutions to some problems, whether it's monoballs or camber kits. So the things that we ended up coming up with took a few years, but it
Right.
seemed like as soon as the C8 came out, which frankly I was just coming out of the hospital, I was actually just the May of 21 is when I went to the hospital, and that's just kind of when they were starting to hit the track en masse. And mass rather. And so, but it was amazing. It's amazing to me how fast, like that's probably become, and maybe it's because like that's my car now and that's what I'm focusing on. We're still obviously developing things for C5 through C7. We're still very well known for that, but I think right now we're best known for making our C8 crazy.
Right.
So the amount of C8 business and the guys who are putting those things on racetracks has been rather alarming,
Yeah.
and the stuff that we're coming up with and how fast that's been adopted. So it's really cool to go to the tracks now and just see the small wave of C8s because it really did change the game. I mean, the Corvettes have always been awesome, but now to have that engine in the middle where God intended it, and the fact that the price didn't go nuts to get into an entry level Corvette and how potent and capable it is on track. It really is, I know Miatas are awesome, Vicki, but the new Corvette is tough to beat also. So it's cool to see it
Yeah.
on the track.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's
Have you driven one? Have you been in one?
Nope.
No,
No?
I have never been in a Corvette.
Oh, for God's sakes. Well, next time we're at the same place at the same time, I'll take you for a rip.
We can
You might get
definitely
rid
do
of
that.
Miata.
Well, she's this year is her year to graduate to being an instructor. So if she's going to get used to a right seat, what better right seat to be than in the C8? That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So C8's a great car. It's amazingly capable, and it's got various platforms and levels depending on the model of the Corvette that you do. But a lot of people that I've talked to think they bought it. It's good to go on track. Let's just take it on track. It's got everything it needs. What does it need to be reliable and function on track beyond performance?
Well, I mean, every year they seem to need less and less. And I just had a conversation with a guy just today on the phone who's picking his car up on Saturday, and he asked me that exact question. Bill, was like, "What do I need? What does this car need?" Like, it doesn't need much. And I used to say, it used to be you had to do radiators and you had to do oil coolers and diff coolers. And the C8, I mean, it's pretty much like I have an extra radiator in my car because I drive the hell out of it. Most people don't necessarily get to the limits of what the car can do factory cooling wise. I did, so I added a radiator, but you really don't need to add much. It is such a, I don't know who Alan Patton is. He's a pro racer now. He's got a lot of our stuff on his car, but his car is basically stock. He's got a nasty one. His car makes like 40 more horsepower than mine does because he sent me his dynograph. But he's also a monster driver. He did like a 155 at VIR on supercar 3R tires, almost bone stock. So getting under 2 minutes and either Watkins Glen or VR, that's a crazy number to do it. And a basically stock Corvette is sort of unheard of. So you really, and he's proven, I think, with the way I drive it, you don't really need to do a lot. The one thing that and again, had the same conversation earlier today. The one thing I told the guy, like what you will need to do is change out the eccentrics for the suspension. They have the same thing that Vicki has. They got these round cams that move the suspension arms in and out. And every year they put a bigger bolt there to try and torque them down so they don't slip, but they just always seem to slip. So it was really the market that dictated. I didn't plan on making the camber kit for this car as fast as we ended up doing because I thought it was going to be robust enough that they weren't going to move on track, but they absolutely do. So if you're putting the thing on track, suspension's great, cooling is great, seats are okay, but one thing you probably really do need to do if it's a dedicated track car is to change out to a camber kit like ours. I think, as a matter of fact, I think we're still the only ones who make a C8 camber kit. So you better buy ours if you want one, because I think we're the only ones who have them to keep those control arms in place so they don't move on you. But as long as you got that done, I mean, just go drive the thing for a year or two. You're going to be astounded at the level of performance that car has.
And that's not saying that the standard kit that comes with the car can't get to the camber you want. It's just that it might not stay there. So some people say, I've got my camber. I got exactly what I want. Well, hit a few curbs at 10 tenths and see if it's still there.
And even by hitting curbs, like they just have so much, they make so much grip now, and they're heavy enough. By the way, the cars are 3,700 pounds
Yeah.
by the time you hit the track, so that's just a lot of force. So, yeah, it's not about achieving more camber. It's about making sure that the camber you have does not move every single time you drive the car on track, which they often do. So that's why we came up with the camber kit.
Well, Miss Vicky has the experience of driving a car that has a dynamic camber changes on track, and she's not a fan. I just want you to know.
Frustrating, at the very least.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit.
It's like why is the back towards the front and the front towards the back? Why is this? And
they generally don't fail. I mean, I had that happen to me when I was first testing my C5 way back in the day, like a catastrophic failure of the essential, like flopped over from one side to the other because the shop who was working on at the time just didn't torque the thing. Like it hit with an impact wrench, but didn't actually use a torque wrench. So generally they move pretty slowly, but it's enough that the alignment changes and it tears up your tires and the car sucks to drive. It's generally not, oh my God, this thing just flipped 180 degrees and I'm going into a wall. I have had that happen. It sounds like Vicky's had that happen, but that's generally not how it goes. Usually a little more incremental.
Yeah, it was which bolt was it? Do you remember, Vic? Which bolt was it? It was one of the bolts that goes through the chassis. Instead of being a circle, it had ovaled itself. So it would just slide, and then your camber would change from near zero to where you want
it was something in the suspension on that car,
and it was just
it wasn't our car,
and it made some of the turns a little exciting.
Yeah, I think
your camber's changing that much, so is your toe, right? So your steering wheel's all off too. Yeah, it's crazy.
It was entertaining, and then
and the fun part is that he didn't believe us until he drove it. And he's like, "Whoa, wait a minute!" I said, "This thing is nuts to drive."
Yeah, it was at Laguna Seca, and he took the car out, and he went off track on track just because the car just decided to go wee, and he hung a left, and you want to go left there, but you don't want to go as left as he did. So he's like, "Oh, okay, it's not you guys. You guys aren't jerks." I'm like, "No, we're not doing this on purpose."
No.
Was this also a Miata?
No, this was a Civic. So
it
needed to be retired.
Gotcha.
So it was fun though. We had a good time. Civic's one of those things you got to cross off the list, even though once you go there, you're like, it's not that great, but you still got to get there. So
I don't think I've crossed it. I don't believe I've ever been on one on track, so I'm afraid I still don't have that experience to be in a Civic race car.
It's worth the trip just for the area alone. So I would highly recommend take a week on either side of your track day and enjoy the area because there's so much to do there. Just bring your wallet full, and but the track is nice, but it's it's not our favorite. So so you could definitely live without.
Gotcha.
So let's see. So the C8's pretty good off the showroom floor. Besides the camber issues, first upgrade, obviously tires, brakes, or is it suspension? What do you think?
Like I said, throw that camber kit in there to lock in the suspension. I mean, the thing about it is that it's, as we've learned, like the thing is so if I had any qualms, it's that it's so much electronic wizardry going on in that car that if anything's not talking to anything else, then it gets really upset. So like once I put all the aero on my car, it became very clear, very fast, and it didn't have enough spring rate. So, but nobody makes a stiffer spring just to throw on the stock shock. Even if you did, all that stuff's calibrated to everything else. So that's the mag ride suspension is calibrated to the diff, it's calibrated to the transmission. So I have customers who work at GM says, "Hey, I'm adding 1,400 pounds of aero. I want to have a spring that's going to work with the stock shocks." Like that would be a terrible idea. The car is going to be calibrated all wrong. It's going to be really, really nasty. So, so unless, again, when it came time for us to do our suspension, we just had to go full Monty and throw double adjustable Penske's on the thing, get rid of all the electronic stuff that was going on with the suspension, so it's hard. So I guess my point is it's hard to kind of piecemeal things together.
Right.
Like it used to be with the C5 and C6, you throw some money at it and every dollar you spend is going to make a pretty sizable chunk performance lap time wise. I think the problem, if there is one with the C8, is that the performance envelope is so high and it's so well done that you kind of need to throw a lot of money at it to make it a little bit faster. You don't throw 10 grand on it and go 10 seconds faster.
They didn't leave
with the C5. You don't with the C8. Our aero on our car alone. It's like, if you want to do our full whiz bang, removable front splitter, our crazy huge wing, you're looking at $12,000. That's what it takes for us to make the best stuff that we can and all of our 5-axis stuff. And then what are you talking? You're talking 3 or 4 seconds, at Watkins Glen or VIR, and
Right.
it's worth it if you need those 4 seconds, but it's not like 1997 where you throw 15 grand to something, you've got a 15 a second a lap faster car.
Yeah, GM didn't leave that much room on the table this time.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty well set. But that doesn't mean there's again, we make a lot of stuff for it. If anybody wants to talk about C8 stuff, by all means contact me. And yeah, the things that we do, the model balls, the suspension, the aero, it all makes an improvement, but it's not an orders of magnitude improvement like it used to be back in the day.
So with the new modern cars, one of my concerns about grassroots motorsports is the more modern the car, the more computer intervention, the more complex the interventions. Is one of the steps in progressing your C8 to replace the ECU, or is that not necessary?
No, you can't. That's the thing. Like, I wish Motec, some Motecs, they tried to do like a plug and play type of thing where like let's take this out and then this will still run. And I talked to the guys at Motec about this, and who else was working on it? Motec is who I spoke to at PRI. Like, hey, we had a development car. We tried to do some things, and it just bricked, and we couldn't touch it. And we couldn't figure out how to get the car running. We had to lie to the dealership to get the car running again. And there's all kinds of really crazy, like, I think it's a lot to do with like the over-the-air updates that they do, the way the architecture of the ECU and stuff like that, all above my pay grade. But essentially, it's extraordinarily difficult to have any of these electronics, all these super complex systems still talking with one another when you try and bypass one thing here or one thing there. So the guys who are trying to build race cars out of these things, really what it's going to take is a full, complete, custom, standalone $30,000 electronics package to be able to, I would love to. I mean, if you could get like a $10,000 Motec plug and play thing, I would do it, but it just doesn't exist because there's probably 250 pounds of electronics in that car, and I would love to get the weight down. And there are a couple guys who are racing these things now wheel to wheel with cages, thinking they're going to get them under like 3,000 pounds. They're still 3,400 pounds because you've got to leave all that stock electronics in there.
Right.
So unfortunately, to make this thing like a full tilt gutted race car, it's gonna cost $250,000 because you got to get a different sequential transmission in there, totally standalone brakes, totally standalone ECU. So for now, it's just going to be a really awesome. You can strip them out a little bit, make them really, really cool HPDE cars, track cars, time attack cars. Yep. There are some guys that are having some success with the wheel to wheel stuff, but still, all those guys are running the stock electronics. So they're fairly robust, but when they crap out on you, they get angry.
So the big boy racers with the big budgets, they're running everything replaced.
I don't know of anybody on a grassroots level that has replaced all that stuff. IMSA guys, those are barely Corvettes. Yeah. That's all Bosch everything. That's all. Those are $700,000 cars. There's nobody that I know who's running at a gentleman level with a fully stripped out C8 with all standalone electronics that I'm aware of.
Do you know how much those weigh relative to the stock cars?
The IMSA cars, the GT3 cars, I think they're like 2,800 pounds with the driver, so about 1,000 pounds less.
Yeah, but that's still not, light.
No, I suppose not from a Miata standpoint, but when it's 1,000 pounds less than the street car, I would love that car to be 2,800 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, when you think, full born and bred race car, you're usually trying to get down into the low 2,000s or ideally less. But, the Corvette's a big car too. So it's interesting. It's interesting. I think, I don't know. I'm worried that as cars get more complex, we're not going to be able to race anything past like 2010.
No, I share that sentiment. And I don't know there's got to be some cutoff point here where things are just a little too complicated to deal with at a sort of grassroots level. And I feel like we're probably there in this current generation. So
yeah.
I mean, if I'm ever going to get into a race car again, it's probably going to be a C6 Grand Sport, to be honest with you, because that I can deal with. You can just start ripping things out, and the car still works. Whereas you rip out the wrong stereo module, and your car's not going to run anymore.
The left turn signal it doesn't work. Oh, limp mode.
Limp mode, exactly. Limp mode. Yep, 100%.
Limp mode should be outlawed, but that's okay. So and multicolor engine lights. I got in a car. It was a rental car, and I called them up and said, "Hey, the engine light just came on." They're like, "What color is it?" I'm like, I can't tell because I'm not very good with colors. I'm like, it's either yellow or orange. I was, well, if it's not red, you're fine.
Yeah,
And if
right.
it's green, you're okay. And I'm like, how many colors are there in this engine light? He's like, you don't want to know. I'm like,
Right.
okay. A green engine light. If I see green, I think good.
That's right. That's good.
Why are you doing this to me? But whatever. Crazy things. Crazy things. Well, Mark, if people do want to contact you about their Corvette needs, how would they get in contact with you, sir?
They can do that via our website, which is simply amtmotorsport.com. My contact info is all there. Send me an email directly, mark@amtmotorsport.com.
Yep. Can't lose much more weight over that email address. That's about as short as you're going to get.
I try. We try and make it easy.
Didn't even need any terzepatide.
That's right.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for coming on again.
Sure thing, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.